Ready? Mm-hmm. Our next two films from 1984 also will probably have people saying, "Hey, that ain't horror." Oh.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Channel 1134. I'm Clint.
And I'm Jeremiah. And on today's episode, we'll be continuing our recommendations for horror films of the 1980s.
This episode will contain films from the years 1984 and 1985.
Once again, we just want to state that these films are a mix of our favorite films and films we think everyone should check out at least once in their life. First, we have Children of the Corn. Based on a Stephen King short story, this horror film follows a couple who stumble upon a rural town inhabited by children who follow a twisted cult led by a malevolent entity. The couple must fight for survival as they become targets of the children's deadly rituals.
Stephen King's Children of the Corn, an adult nightmare.
Now we have Friday the 13th, the final chapter, the fourth installment to the Friday the 13th franchise. This slasher film centers on the residents of Crystal Lake as they become prey for the infamous killer, Jason Voorhees, who returns to terrorize the area once again. Many fans consider this the best of the franchise.
Friday the 13th, the final chapter. Jason's unlucky day.
For our next film, there better not be any trolls saying this isn't horror, but it's Gremlins. Directed by Joe Dante, this horror comedy follows a young man who receives a unique creature called a mogwai as a pet. Chaos ensues when the creature spawns mischievous and destructive gremlins after the 3 rules of mogwai care are broken.
Gremlins, directed by Joe Dante. They'll be expecting you.
Our next two films from 1984 also will probably have people saying, "Hey, that ain't horror." Oh. Anyways, it's Ghostbusters, and that's fucking absolutely horror adjacent.
Ghostbusters.
Hey, anybody see a ghost?
They catch the ghost that won't stay dead.
Ghostbusters is a supernatural comedy where a group of parapsychologists start a ghost catching business in New York City. They encounter various otherworldly beings and must save the city from destruction. One of the best films ever with an amazing cast.
Starring Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Sigourney Weaver, Harold Ramis, Rick Moranis. Ghostbusters.
In this city, under cover of darkness, someone is stalking Sarah Connor.
Sarah Connor?
Yes.
Next up, directed by James Cameron and starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, The Terminator is a sci-fi action film about a cyborg assassin sent back in time to kill the mother of the future leader of a human rebellion. A soldier is sent back to protect her, leading to a thrilling battle between man and machine.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is the Terminator.
I'll be back.
The kids of Elm Street don't know it yet, but something is coming to get them.
Our last film from 1984 is one of the best horror films ever made, and it's A Nightmare on Elm Street, directed by Wes Craven. This iconic horror film introduces Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger, a vengeful spirit who terrorizes teenagers in their dreams, causing them to die in real life. A group of teenagers must find a way to defeat Freddy before they become his next victim.
From Wes Craven, director of The Hills Have Eyes and Last House on the Left, a new masterpiece in fantasy terror, Nightmare on Elm Street.
If the memory of Jason still haunts you,
you're not alone.
Our first film from 1985 may be controversial, but we like it and think it should make the cut. And it's Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning. Continuing the franchise, this installment follows Tommy Jarvis, now a teenager, as he deals with the trauma caused by his past encounters with Jason Voorhees. However, when a new series of murders occurs at a halfway house, Tommy fears that Jason has returned.
Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning. First, he created the most frightening film ever made. Then, he took his unique vision of terror one step further.
Now we have the masterpiece that is Day of the Dead. Directed by George A. Romero, this zombie film is set in a world overrun by the undead. A group of survivors, including scientists and military personnel, seek refuge in an underground bunker while trying to find a solution to the zombie epidemic. Savini's gore in this film is Hall of Fame level, as always, motherfucker.
George A. Romero's Day of the Dead, the most eagerly awaited day in horror film history.
Next up is Silver Bullet, based on a Stephen King novella. This horror film revolves around a small town terrorized by a series of gruesome murders. A wheelchair-bound boy and his eccentric uncle suspect that a killer may be a werewolf, leading them on a quest to stop the creature's reign of terror. Corey Haim is amazing in this film, and so is Gary Busey at his absolute craziest. This is one of my favorite werewolf films of all time.
He's out there! I saw him!
What would you do if you accidentally discovered the house next door was occupied by something not human?
Along with one of the best werewolf films, 1985 also has one of the best vampire films of all time, and it's Fright Night, a horror comedy film that follows a teenager who discovers that his new neighbor is a vampire. With the help of a horror movie TV show host, he must find a way to stop the vampire before he becomes the creature's next victim.
Fright Night. If you love being scared, this could be the night of your life.
In the dark of the night, something strange is going on.
And now our last film from 1985, another zombie masterpiece, Return of the Living Dead. A horror comedy film that serves as a spiritual successor to George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead. When a toxic gas is released from a military canister, it reanimates the dead, leading to a group of survivors battling against hordes of brain-hungry zombies. This film has everything you want from an 80s movie.
It worked in the movie! Well, it ain't working now. Read the movie line! It's not a bad question, Bert.
The Return of the Living Dead.
Well, that wraps up our horror film recommendations for the years 1984 and 1985. As always, we suggest finding these films and checking them out. If you have seen them all already, we still hope you enjoyed our video.
And remember, we might not have included every movie that's on everyone's list, but this is just our thoughts that we think everyone should check out. Let us know in the comments what you think. If you agree, disagree, just don't be a dick.
Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
And hit that notification bell. For channel 1134, I'm Jeremiah.
And I'm Clint.
And we'll catch you on the dark side.
Along with one of the best werewolf films, 1985 also has one of the best vampire
films, man. Motherfucker. Neighbor. His neighbor. Our next two films from 1984 also will probably have some people saying, that ain't horror. My bad. We'll probably have people saying, oh, that ain't horror. Remember, we might not have included every movie that everyone thinks should be on this list, but It's just our thoughts, so if you don't like it, I don't really give a fuck. I'm just kidding. Whatever. Blah, 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 blah.